In the future, you're going to be able to order any custom object with a single click, and Shapeways is focused on that future. So we're going to bring out John Biggs to interview Peter Weijmarshausen. Please give it up, guys.
All right, so you guys are very brave. I'm glad everybody's up and excited. Let's clap our hands. Peter Weijmarshausen from Shapeways. Have a seat here.
Yep.
Is everybody awake? Is everybody okay? Do we need anything? Coffee or whatever? We can get up, it's fine. Peter, I've known for a few years now. We did a video at your headquarters in Queens. Is it in Queens?
That's actually the factory.
The factory, yeah.
Yeah, the headquarters is in Manhattan.
And I also don't know other boroughs, so it's my understanding that it was Queens.
Okay.
But tell us what's going on. What's going on Shapeways? Describe Shapeways first, and then let's talk about some of the amazing stuff that you guys are doing.
Sure. So Shapeways is a service that helps designers bring their designs come to life into real products. So if you design something in your computer using 3D software, you can then send this to us, and we will check it for manufacturability, which is actually not so easy, make sure that we can make it, and then we make it using high-end 3D printers. And we do this in, not only plastics, but we do this in stainless steel, in bronze, brass, in silver. We just added gold. We have ceramics. So we're starting to add like all the well-known materials that we used to make products in that we can now use in 3D printing. And that's not all, because you can get your own products. But what is really cool, of course, that you then can also open a shop and you can start selling your products to a worldwide audience.
So you guys are like essentially sort of like a digital Rumpelstiltskin. You can like spin bits into gold. Is that right? How does the gold work? What's going on there?
So we use the term 3D printing, and actually it's a misnomer, right? Because it's just the term that we now use for all the technologies that are also called additive manufacturing. And with gold, basically, it's a mix of the new and the old, where we print in wax, actually. Then the wax model is added to this tree of wax models, and you encase that in gypsum. You burn out the wax, and then you cast the gold or the silver into that empty space. You take away the gypsum after it's cooled down, and then you polish the models.
And then you guys keep a little bit of the gold? It's sort of like a...
We always keep a little bit of the
Just to keep a little bit of the gold. Oh, the Danes. How many pieces do you make a day?
We currently are up at about 1,500 products a day. It varies a little bit, and that's one of the hard things for us.
So it's like a product a minute?
Sorry?
It's a product a minute?
Yeah, roughly, yep.
So it's just like a machine that's squirting out items?
Well, unfortunately, we wish that was true, but the big machines we use are so big, and the products that we make are on average like this size. We can print tens and in some cases hundreds of products in one batch in those machines, which sounds good because it makes the overall product affordable, but at the same time you get these batches of these pulses of products going into our factories. And if you then, for instance, have to sort them, sorting is one by one. So what happens, the machine is ready, you have a pile of 500 parts, and now you have to sort them one by one. So, and that creates all kinds of difficulties or challenges for the team to make it as fast as possible, because our aim, of course, from the moment you upload your product, we want to get you the product in your hands as soon as we can, like preferably tomorrow.
Now, my wife enjoys, I'm an avid 3D printer, and she enjoys it, but she always says that I'm basically making more plastic crap. Would you argue that that's what you're kind of like a mini China, or what's going on there?
Well, I've heard that, but first and foremost, we don't only print in plastic, although it's about half, so that's already changed from where we started. It's a little bit over half of what we make. But I think because it's now things that people really want. I mean, lots of time goes into designing something. So you get attached to that thing, whatever it is. So whenever you get it, people are really passionate, and they won't let go of it that easily. Whereas if you buy something for $1 in a dollar store or whatever, you're not attached to it. You might throw away or you might lose it in a heartbeat because you don't care about it.
So these are objects of affection. These are objects that people have put time and effort and actually sort of, I guess, heartfelt sensitivities into, and you're making them for them. Is that how you want to see it?
Yep. I think 3D printing will displace some part of manufacturing, but a large part of mass manufacturing will always be around. And the insight that we got at Shapeways is that where do you want to use 3D printing for what kind of things? It's for the things you're really passionate about, or the things you otherwise couldn't have gotten. I mean, that's the other thing, which is cool.
But I guess the question is, will we ever have a situation where I can say I need 500, I don't know, LED lamps or whatever. I need this goofy thing up here, this podium, and I need 50 of them. Will I ever have it be in a situation where I can just order 50 of them made for me? Sort of there's mass production, that's micro mass production?
I think that's the future we will go to, yeah. I mean, sounds crazy, but we're very close to printing these kind of things, and especially semiconductors already are possible to be printed. You can print integrated circuits, you can print transistors, basically a radio could be printed completely already.
Oh, wow. So you could do pick and place, and you can build a case and do all the good stuff.
Yep.
Wow. Why don't you talk a little bit about you were talking a little bit about the programmatic aspects of this, that you're able to get JavaScript running to build stuff. Explain how that works.
So one of the interesting challenges we face, 3D software is hard, right? So, and even beyond that, basically the challenge we face is, the question, what do you want? So describing, if you want to use Shapeways, you need to describe what you want. And the easiest way we have agreed on is you design something in 3D software, you export it into an STL file, and you upload that to the site. That's, from a technology perspective, that's easy. But from a user perspective, that's incredibly hard. 3D software is not for everybody, and then the whole process is hard. So one of the challenges we try to always attack is, how can we make it easier for people to express to us what they want? I mean, that challenge doesn't exist if you go to stores, because they're telling what you want is just pointing, right? That's easy. Or you talk to a salesperson, you explain it, and maybe they have it, maybe they don't. But when the possibilities are infinite, how do you express that? So one of the new ways that we have soft launched over the last couple of months is what we call Shape.js. Basically going from the premise that there is a lot of people who know how to code in JavaScript, and also because JavaScript is one of the big languages of the web, we figured that anyone who can write JavaScript and wants to make an experience on his website can use our library, Shape.js, to create products. And you can even create experiences. So for instance, you can very simply put together an experience where you can have a ring, you have a slider to resize it, and that is all possible in HTML. You couple that to the JavaScript code, and you slide to the right size. Then you type in some text, and you say outside or inside, and then you have the text appear on the outside inside. You could even select the font. And then when you like it, you can either download the STL and use it for yourself, or you hit upload, and it appears in Shapeways.
So you could make your own ring of power, like the hobbits or whatever?
Yes, I think if you do this well enough, you could get there, yeah.
Could you imbue it with horrible power? Do you have that power? Is that anything that you can do? You're a physicist. I'm sure you could put something in there that would...
I don't believe in those things, and I don't think it's possible here, and you know that.
Do you have a home 3D printer? Do you have a MakerBot?
No, I don't.
You don't want to take your work home?
So lots of people have asked, why don't you have a printer at home? I think I would if I had a little bit more time, but I spent so much time working and thinking about Shapeways that when I get home, typically documents or email waits for me. So the time that I have, that I want to spend on hobbies, I like to do hobbies that are completely different from what I do for 80 hours a week anyhow. I like to cook, I like to brew beer, things that are totally different, but also creative in a way.
Okay. I mean, so I have a home 3D printer and I have a MakerBot, and I'm wondering, is the low end, is some of your bread and butter manufacturing going to be affected by home 3D printing? If you look for Brooklyn 3D printing, I'm #1 on Google, just because I was on Make XYZ early, and if you need something printed in Brooklyn, people come to me now, and I'm printing left and right, at least once or twice a month. I'm a massive industry. But am I affecting your bottom line? Are folks like me with a MakerBot somewhere in Kansas going to affect your bottom line?
Well, bottom line, I'm definitely not, the top line. I don't think, look, the same is true for paper. There will be printers at home, and there will be surfaces. And I think the proposition is completely different. A printer at home is a tool, and if you're good at using the tool, you can make amazing things. But currently, there is also limitations. And if you want to keep up to date, you need to buy a new printer every year or so. The networks of home printers are also interesting, but I do think that we have a totally different proposition, not only that we can use high-end machines and different materials already, and we will keep investing in having the best of the best, but we also offer an end-to-end service. And it's the same with paper, right? I mean, if you go to Shutterfly, you can get a photo album. You have a printer at home that could print the photos, but making the photo album would take a lot of time and handiwork to do that at home. And that's actually, I think, the difference. The printer is a tool, we provide a service. We give feedback on the design, we help you and create exactly what you want. And then when you want it, we make it for you, we post-produce it, and then we ship it to you. So that's
arguably the stuff that I produce is pretty janky in the first place, so it's garbage. But you guys use nylon sintering, it's nice and smooth, it's a cohesive object. So I guess those are the primary differences. Now, I guess another question, and I'm sure you guys have researched this, but you guys are interesting that you don't have to worry about it, really. What are the health risks involved in 3D printing, especially ABS, especially the nylon sintering you guys do? Have you researched that at all?
Yeah, actually we recently went through that process, and the nylon powder is not that big of a risk. I mean, we actually worked with people who were specialists in this field, and they told us that we don't need any respiration devices or masks or anything throughout our whole process. There are also hardly any fumes because the machines are all enclosed and they're vented out. But still, even if you would open them up, the fumes are very limited because you don't melt the plastic, you sinter it, which is, from a chemical perspective, slightly different, and hence there are hardly any fumes. Of course, you need to be careful with all the products you touch, but and you don't want to have. I mean, I think the biggest risk, if you're really not careful, is explosions, because the nylon powder is extremely fine, and if you twirl that into the air and you add an ignition source, it could explode.
So your entire workshop could explode, and you'd just be like,
no, we make sure that doesn't happen, obviously, but you need to clean stuff, and you need to make sure that you don't do stupid things. Yeah. It's manufacturing, so there are risks.
And that's fascinating because you're actually manufacturing in New York, which there hasn't been manufacturing in New York for a century. How do you feel about the changing face of manufacturing in big cities like this?
It's awesome. I think that is part of what our view is. We believe that manufacturing should be local. And I think the new technologies, basically what 3D printing is digital manufacturing. So you go straight from a digital file to a product, enables us, again, to manufacture close to the end user. We picked New York because our main office is here, but it doesn't stop there. We already had a factory in the Netherlands where we started. And actually, the Netherlands, Eindhoven, where we started, was also a manufacturing town. And all the manufacturing left, and we brought it back there as well. So our view is that over time, more and more Shapeways factories will appear in the right places in the world. And at those places, not only will we get the products faster to you at lower cost, but we'll have less impact on the environment for transportation. But I think a key thing that people forget is that it's very important for product designers to be close to product manufacturers. That interaction spurs creativity. And that creativity is needed because this is a different way of manufacturing. It has way less limits. And if we want to explore what really is possible, product designers need to talk to product engineers and to manufacturing guys, and they need to work together and figure out what is possible. And therefore, I think having those factories throughout the United States, throughout the world, makes total sense.
So are designers able to come to the factory and talk to you guys about what's going on, or is there just more online sort of thing?
We definitely have a lot of community events. We have meetups every month where a lot of our education people go and they talk about the new things we can do. We have tours at the factory now. You can sign up in meetup.com. It's free. We limit it to a certain size because we can't.
Of explosions.
No.
I always make explosion jokes whenever I go to see factories, and the guys who run the factories hate that because an explosion is a negative outcome for a factory, so I apologize sincerely. I did that multiple times. I said, oh, what if
the only reason why I don't like it is because I care about my people, right? And explosions are typically bad for them.
But for me, an explosion is very esoteric. It's an idea. I mean, I'm never going to be in an explosion, potentially.
See, there you go. So you now joke about it, but now you go on a tour and
then I'm going to go in there and I'm going to be like, where's the explosion?
There you go.
All right. Okay. Please continue.
So where were we actually before the explosions?
Let's talk about education. You were talking a little bit about Minecraft back there, and some of these cooler projects, like the guy who's building a fusion reactor.
Yeah. So let's do one at a time, because from Minecraft to fusion reactors, I mean, there is
actually it's not very far. My son's very good at both.
Okay, that's good. We need that actually. But I think one of the things that surprised me wildly when I went through this experience at Shapeways over the last 7 years is the explosion of people who can use 3D software.
See, that's a nice explosion.
Yes. So plenty of people are learning in schools, even high schools here in the United States. Lots of people are downloading Tinkercad, SketchUp, and they're learning. And I believe if you learn something young enough, it becomes natural to you. That's why you see lots of people who are really good at sports or whatever, they started very young. So the same with 3D software, and as a result, more and more people are using. But they also surprise us. You know, I was at the Science Festival in Washington a few weeks ago, and you know, I asked the crowd, which was filled with like kids between 10 and 18 years old, and I asked, so who is on Minecraft? And the whole audience, hands in the air, and I said, what if you can hold your Minecraft design in your hands? And they all wanted that. It was fun to see the reactions, and we already have that happening already for a while. And as a result, you could argue that Minecraft now is a 3D software modeling tool, which it never is intended to be. It's intended more to be a game, a fun experience, but you could actually make functional parts in Minecraft and export it and have them made. And so those kind of cool things I think are really important, and that is what I love about getting kids in, because they have no limitations in their fantasy. But
are they making little castles, or are they making gears, or are they actually making mechanical objects?
Mechanical is a little bit hard, I think,
because it's a little bit granular, I think.
Yeah, you need to make it really big for that to work, but it could be. But they make little castles. The Eiffel Tower I've seen come by, the space shuttle I've seen come by. Lots of little characters. Dinosaurs obviously need to happen. So yeah, those kind of things. And then you asked about the fusion reactor. I can't help but also answer that one. So we were really surprised. It was over a year ago already that a guy in Brooklyn, this I think was pretty much covered on blogs, was working on this fusion reactor, and he's reached out to us and said, like, without Shapeways, without the ceramic parts that you guys print for me, this would never be possible for me to do. Now, how far he is currently in his project, I haven't kept up to date, but it's kind of cool that people feel so liberated in the ways that they can do things.
That they can build a fusion reacter in Brooklyn.
We need to solve the energy problem, man.
I mean, as you explained to me back there that a fusion reactor is not dangerous. So if he's building it out in Brooklyn, it should be fine. If he was doing like the other kind of reactor.
Fission, yeah, I don't know, but look, this is not my territory to judge whether it's fine or not fine. And he has been visited by all the right authorities. So,
okay. I bet he has.
Yes. In general, fusion is less risky than fission, that's for sure.
And do you guys ever go through and like watch the stuff as it comes out of the machines and like say, I want that, and print another one for yourself? Is it like the old photo development places where you kept on pulling out photos and like naked people?
Every so often I do go to the factory and I help with sorting, especially when we get crazy busy in Christmas. And I haven't been doing it as much lately, unfortunately, but I love to do that because you see all the creativity and you have to hold it and figure out, for whom this is. And sometimes you do get giddy and you go like, oh, I want this too. Now, since lots and lots of people have shops on Shapeways, chances are, that this model, the product you're holding in your hand is for sale. So you could go to the site and order another one. And at times I've been inspired enough to do that.
You guys are doing full color. I saw, when I was there last time, I saw a little sad Keanu sitting there in full color.
Yep.
And people, is that hand done, or is that programmatically done?
Yeah, it's programmatically. So what you are alluding to is like memes. They used to be only in pictures on the web, but now what is happening, people are modeling those memes, and we see like the next big thing, like the success kit, or the Möbius bacon strip, or nonsense.
We've entered the meme matrix. The memes are coming
into the real life.
They have avatars now.
Yeah.
Wow, they've become incarnated.
So, if you want to have a bacon Möbius strip, we'll have it for you.
It's right there for you.
Yep.
All right, we got 40 seconds. What's one of your favorite projects you've seen?
That's such a hard question. But I think that everything that is used to come up with something that we haven't seen before, like one of the things that I saw recently that I'm impressed with is actually a light shade, but it actually is printed almost completely flat. And then because of its geometry, you can take the middle part, which is on the cable, and you pull it up and it becomes this light shade. And this is such a clever design, not only because it looks cool and it has moving parts, but also because it's so small whilst printing, the price and the cost is relatively low. Because if you would print it in the full shape, it would be much more expensive.
Oh. So you guys are IKEA 2.0 now. IKEA 2.0.
Yep.
Peter Weijmarshausen, Shapeways. Give this guy a big round of applause. One of my favorite companies. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, Joe.